It's that time of the week again to bring you our brand and enterprise program Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. Welcome, I'm Anne Nwawadu. On the program today, we're set with Executive Director of Revolution Plus Property, Mrs. Tolulokwe Onolaja, to discuss the organization's developmental strategies. We also speak with Aresa Lucia Onagise to find out how an alliance of food and beverages companies in Nigeria is working towards achieving a cleaner environment. Once again, welcome to the program. Let's begin with a real estate firm that is hoping to make a difference in business and helping those in need. We're talking about Revolution Plus Property. Revolution Plus Property is a foremost real estate company in Nigeria charged with a vision to become the #1 real estate company in sub-Saharan Africa. The company, which started operations in 2014, has evolved to have 6 branches in Nigeria and counting, with an international office in Dallas, Texas, in the United States of America. The company is driven by its mission to bring buyers' real estate dreams, desires, and expectations to reality through its total commitment to affordable housing using multi-channeled services. Revolution Plus Property boasts of owning over 30 estates in Nigeria and several homes for lease in the United States of America. The services of the company include sale of sites and service plots with various affordable houses for sale across the country, property development, and real estate advisory. Integrity, trust, and timely delivery are the core values of the organization. Revolution Property has since evolved into a holding company called Revolution Plus Group, which presently has 7 subsidiaries in its portfolio. My chat with Mrs. Tolulokwe Onolaja reveals the achievements made so far and the plans ahead for the real estate firm. Let's begin with areas where your corporate social responsibility initiatives are most visible.
We have 3 basic areas where we focus on as a brand. So it's in the area of education, in the areas of community development, and widows empowerment. We actually picked out these 3 sectors because, of course, for you to be able to make a lot of impact, it's better you choose an area where you focus so you're able to do a lot. I'm someone who passionately loves women. I just think I had this inspiration to help women who lose their husbands maybe at a tender age and they're not able to, help their children go through school and all. So that was what actually pushed us towards the areas of widows. And for education, I have a background in education. I had a first degree in education, and seeing a lot that happens in the educational sector in Nigeria, I feel that for me, having that background, I need to make my own impact in our own little way in the sector. And for community development, we want to be able to influence everywhere we go to as a brand. We want to be able to make an impact. We want people to be able to know us as adding value or being an advantage for our business being in that environment. Well,
which brings me to my next question. You actually talked about your experience in the education sector, inspiring your wanting to give back to the society and improving that sector. So share with us some of those projects that you have done to be able to achieve that.
Okay, one of the things we've done, and the major thing we've done, is to build a full-fledged school owned entirely from head to toe by Fbra. Fbra is the brand of, of the business that we use for our corporate social responsibility. It's called the Chris Bamidele Onolaja Foundation. So the school is owned, it's called Toda Nursery and Primary School. It's located in Ikorodu, that's Agbede area of Ikorodu, where we have a school that's from nursery 1 to primary 6. So it's a full-fledged private school, but it's fully free, meaning that from tuition to books and everything is being funded solely by our brand in partnership with the Fbra Foundation that we use to collaborate it. And then the school has made a lot of impact because in that particular axis, the closest government school in that axis is about an hour from that region. So we citing the school there was an answer to a lot of people in that area's prayers. And looking at the private school, fully furnished, there's nothing that we don't have in the school. We have the sick bay, we have the library, we have the computer room, we have everything that you see. And then it was too good to be real. When we started and they said it was going to be free, they felt, oh, are you sure these people are not up to something? How can you build this kind of a place and you say you want it to be free? And they started calling themselves, because when they came, and they found out that nobody has asked them to pay anything, and they were like, it's for real. And it's 2 years now, and so everybody in the community has come to accept that yes, we are there to impact lives. And they keep, of course, we have limited number of class people we can take in each classroom, so we have our full capacity now. So what we're planning to do, we have future plans to expand, and I think we'll talk about that as we go on.
Earlier on, you talked about your interest in widows, people who lost their husbands at a very early stage. I mean, tell us what you were actually doing to make sure you put smiles on the faces of these people.
Yes, as a brand, we actually have done quite a number of things for the widows. We started last year. Last year, we were able to empower 10 of them. We actually picked them up from, some of them were living in slums, and that was the first time I knew that with as little as 100, 200,000, you can actually transform someone's life. Because I saw a massive transformation with these women. And so some of them started to do a trade. We first of all called them for an interview to find out what they do at the moment, what they were planning to do. So some told us they could sew, and what they just needed was a sewing machine to be able to sew and make clothes and whipping machines and all, which we did. But for those who already have existing trade, apart from the monetary aspect of helping them to start up. And then we had some who says, oh, I just want to get a little store that I'll put up things I can buy in the market, food stores and all, and sell. But this year, we moved it forward to 40 widows. So this year we had 40 widows that we empowered financially. So we gave those 40 widows money to set up something for themselves, to start up life with. And in fact, it was really a touching moment.
You also take health matters seriously. Share some of those projects that you have done, medical outreach to help communities around you in that area.
Okay, so what we did was, we have a school, like I said, in Ikorodu in Agbede area. So what we did was to get 500, they have a lot of elderly people live around there. So we got a lot of elderly people who could not afford good health care. So we got about a team of 8 doctors who went there to do free checkup for them. They did BP checks, they did malaria drugs. There were a lot of drugs, especially for, blood sugar and all of this, just to, ensure that at least they were fit. And some of them were given medical counsel and all. And it was really a wonderful program. And, they were just filled with appreciation for someone remembering them to come over there and, give back, to them as regards their health. For every place where we do our business, we want to be able to impact lives there. We want to be able to make meaningful impact on people that live around those areas. So far, so good. We currently operate in 5 different locations. We have business in Lagos, in Ikeja, and on the island, Lekki, and then most of our estates are concentrated around Beverage. So what we did, like during the COVID pandemic, earlier this year, we picked out 5 communities where we have our estates. We went there, we gave back, in large drums, in trailer loads, of food stuff, and the people felt, so a brand could remember them in the pandemic, and, they were so grateful. So we went to the Palace of the Ballets. So some had to drop at the Palace, some had to go to the Palace Square, and then they had the people come out and receive those things. And then another thing we did in Ibejuleki as well was to go to schools. So like I said, we're particular, we're passionate about schools. So we went to some schools, around 5 schools and the community. We gave them school bags and exercise books for all the students in those schools. And then of course, we also did not do that only in Ibejuleki, we also moved it to Oyo State. We actually have our office in Ibadan, in Ring Road in Ibadan. So we have 2 estates as at then. We're operating from Elebu, and Olodo community. So we took also palliatives the same way we took to Lagos. We took there, and then of course people also came to our office because we found out that as the trailer was offloading the food items, some people actually slept at the door of our office. It was really a touching moment. So we had to reach out to those who live around our office area in Ibadan. We also take security very serious. We know that lives are very important, and the protection of lives and property is key to us as a brand. So speaking to some communities as well who spoke to us that they had security challenge. So we took it up as a brand to actually build a full-fledged police station, almost completed right now for that particular community.
How does it feel knowing that you can put smiles on the faces of people that you do not even know?
you know, I get so emotional and I get so fulfilled. Revolution Plus is known for affordable housing. Like people will ask me, oh, why do you target, we noticed that you target towards affordable housing, the medium and low income earn. And MD will say something, he will say, my dream is not to have someone who lives in a Kui. That's why I don't do my projects in a Kui. My vision is to reach out to that Okada rider, to that woman who sells things on the street, who never thought he could own a property. And so our greatest joy is to see them become landlords, is to make them landlords. They buy lands from us, they build their house little by little. And you know, that's one of our greatest moments. Another thing Revolution Plus is known for, we identify a lot with festive period. I know people who over the years, they say, oh, it's your Christmas rice that we take every year, your groundnut oil, your chicken. In fact, they practically wait. You see them waiting for those promos because they know we never fail. So ranging from Christmas promo to Valentine promo, we identify with couples, we give gifts. Then go to Ramadan promo where we identify, we give them provisions, you know, to celebrate and break their fast with. Then go to Ileya promo where we give them rams and rice. So all around the year, we have something we're giving out. So you see a lot of joy in the hearts of people. And then the most inspiring of all and the most touching moment was what we do when it comes to realtors. So we have a number of young people who sell real estate for us. And, you know, they live and sustain their families with these commissions that they earn from the sales. There was a particular woman who, in her life, she said, someone just introduced her to say, oh, come and sell real estate. And she felt, oh, will they ever be truthful to pay the commissions they say they will pay? Then she was having a lot of problems that she had to shut down her mini business she was doing because she didn't have capital and all. Then she woke up that morning, she woke up to the alert. She came out during one of our award ceremony to share that, you know, we didn't know, we pay people daily. It's not everybody that will come back to tell you how, you know, this thing has transformed their life. That also encourages us and, you know, keeps us going. You know, there are some things you do and even when you want to be discouraged, when you look at lives you're touching, it keeps on encouraging you to do more.
How do you hope to expand your corporate social responsibility initiatives and giving back to the society? Okay,
so we have a lot of plans for 2021, and actually we've already started that. The first thing we want to be doing in 2021 is actually to empower 500 widows. I remember that I talked about last year when we're doing this year, we did 40, and I remember saying that we'll go from 500 to 1,000 widows, and all the widows there were like, amen and amen. I was like, it's a done deal because God already sealed it when we said it. So what we want to do this year is to get them to start learning the trade from January. So we want them to start off early. So we get some of them to go, you know, go learn hairdressing. You know, so it's going to be out on the internet. We're going to publish it out because having to gather 500 people, we may not be able to know 500 widows. So we need to push the word out there that we need to get widows. We want to train some of them on how to sew. So we get them, we pay for them to go learn. And then once they are graduating, we present them with, you know, some dryers. We just want to set them up economically. Some will get grinding machines to, you know, to start. They can get spaces in the market, you know, for them to start grinding. So we just want to empower 500 widows. And then, of course, we also have plans to, the school we have currently is just a primary school. Like I said, it's just from nursery 1 to primary 6. So what we want to do now is to get at least an acre of land in the Ikorodu, just close by. Work has started going on. We want to do a full-fledged secondary school. So we want to have from JSS1 to SS3. So we want to take it in each further by providing a full-fledged, so we can take children from nursery school up until they get to secondary school. So that's one of the things we want to do in 2021. And of course, Revolution Plus has grown. We have 5 branches currently. We have in Lagos, the head office in Ikeja. We have in Lekki. We have in Abuja. We have in Ogun State, Abeokuta. Then we have an Ibadan regional office in Oyo State. So what we want to do is to ensure that wherever our lands or our houses are located, we want to impact our community. So we're working hand in hand with all our staff, our branch heads in all those branches. They are visiting the communities to come up with viable projects that we can do in those communities. So we want to ensure that at the end of 2021, for everywhere that Revolution Plus is present, our presence is being felt. in those communities. There should be something that each of those communities should benefit from the brand. So those are some of the few plans we have for 2021 as a brand.
When we return on Kaleidoscope, we'll turn our attention to the environment. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. Directly or indirectly, the issue of climate change affects us all. Some of the Sustainable Development Goals are focused on avoiding a disaster in the near future. So today, we took a look at a structured organization helping to drive that goal. Let's find out more about them. The Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance, Fbra, is the industry coalition of the food and beverage industry set up as a producer responsibility organization in compliance with the directive of the National Environmental Standards Regulation and Enforcement Agency, NESRA's Green Light, for companies to work collaboratively on sectoral basis to promote and execute organized waste collection and recycling in Nigeria. The vision for Fbra started in 2012 but culminated in a corporation in 2018. From membership of 4 founding companies, the alliance has progressed with more food and beverage companies joining this vision. Currently, the coalition is made up of 16 members, and that's the Nigerian bottling company Coca-Cola, Nestle, 7-Up Bottling Company, Nigerian Brewers PLC, Guinness, International Breweries, Intercontinental Distillers Limited, Tulip Cocoa, Dow Chemicals, Tetra Pak West Africa, the Lacasera Company, NG Pets Manufacturing Company, UAC Foods, and Unilever. The alliance is poised to implement exemplary programs which will help preserve the environment, ignite innovation, create jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities for repurposing of packaging waste while averting reputational and regulatory risks for the alliance and its members. Over the years, very little or nothing has been done to combat environmental degradation and to inculcate the right waste disposal habits, especially as it concerns PET bottles, aluminium cans, plastic packaging materials and beverage cartons. And that's why the Fbra is working towards building a self-sustaining recycling economy around post-consumer packaging waste, thereby stimulating employment, wealth creation and innovation in Nigeria. The head of the Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance, Lucia Onahise, sheds more light on the activities of this alliance. The issue of climate change is on the front burner. Countries around the world are looking for solutions. That is where your organization comes in. How did it all start?
Yes, like you rightly said, climate change is a global concern. And contrary to what people may think, climate change is actually affecting us here in Nigeria. And that's one of the reasons that the Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance, which is the industry alliance for the food and beverage sector, was set up in 2018. How did it begin? In 2018, some multinationals came together. Nigerian Bottling Company, which is the Coca-Cola company, Nigerian Breweries, Nestle, and 7-Up Bottling Company came together to form an alliance. And they were set up as the Producer Responsibility Organization for the food and beverage sector. Based on the extended producer responsibility, which makes it mandatory for organizations to be responsible for the whole life cycle of their product, including their packaging material. The post-consumer packaging is what is critical that causes pollution in the environment, because we know that when people make use of the products from the food and beverage sector, they might leave it in the environment, and this causes pollution that affects climate change. So the need for the Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance is to actually address that post-consumer packaging material so that it's not in the environment, it is collected appropriately and it is recycled and a value is put to it.
And is there a roadmap that helps you achieve your goals?
Yes, there is. So we all know about these Sustainable Development Goals, and there are 17 of them. Ironically, out of the 17 goals, what we are set out to do, our mandate, actually covers a lot of those goals. So I'll go through some of it. If you want to talk about climate action, which is goal 13, if we are able to address plastic pollution or packaging pollution in the environment, on land, on sea, we can actually address the climate action. Innovation, industry, sustainable cities and communities. We know how our communities and our cities, like a city like Lagos, has to be sustainable. for it to be sustainable, we need to ensure that we put things in place, and then these packaging materials are not in the environment, but they are put to good use. And life on land and life below water has to be sustained. Then finally, partnership for the goals. We know that we cannot do this alone. Everybody has a responsibility. So we work with different collection partners. We work with different members of the industry. We also work with the government to ensure that we can address this issue that is looming.
And what are those programs that help you implement your work in these areas that you have mentioned?
We have 3 focus areas. The first focus area is collection and recovery. What I mean by collection and recovery of the post-consumer packaging materials from the environment. And we do that in collaboration with collection partners across Nigeria in different zones. So not only in Lagos, but also up north. So what we do with that is we work with those collection partners. We provide subsidies and we help them to collect more from the environment. And some of those collections have been able to ensure that we can have less materials going to the dump site or being in the environment. Since inception, we have been able to offtake over 4,800 metric tons of plastic waste from the environment. This volume I'm talking about would have been in the dump site, and we know that plastic waste stays in the environment for a long time. The second focus area is community awareness and engagement. There is a critical need to continue to educate people on the need for proper and responsible disposal of these materials. And we also need to encourage them and tell them that there's a value that can be put to these materials. Instead of it being in the environment, it can be put to good use. It can either be reused or it can be recycled. So we go for community engagement programs in different areas. So far, we have been able to go to over 30 communities. And what we do is we create that awareness, tell them about recycling, and then we partner them with an indigenous collection partner. So after we leave the community, that program is sustained within that community, and they will keep collecting. And then we also provide incentives using the products from our member companies. One of the critical things we do too is to engage with the government, engage with policymakers to make critical decisions concerning the environment that has to do with post-consumer packaging material to prevent pollution. So we have done that at different levels, both at state level, at the national level, and also internationally. So we have been able to engage with the Federal Ministry of Environment, the Lagos State Ministry of Environment. Recently, there was a plastic waste policy stakeholders workshop where we were actively involved to ensure that we provide the right framework that is implementable in Nigeria.
Which brings me to my next question. How can government policies enable the achievement of your environmental sustainability?
Policy is very critical, and policy is a key driver for environmental sustainability. If there's a policy that creates an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, a policy that creates opportunities for investors to come in, then environmental sustainability in Nigeria can be enhanced. And that's why we're working closely with policymakers, just like Lagos State, the Federal Ministry of Environment, to ensure that the policies that come up in terms of the environment are implementable and we can work with it.
The challenges you must be facing, how do you manage those challenges?
So there are lots of challenges when it comes to talking about recycling in Nigeria. And I'll just focus on 3 for the purpose of this discussion. So the first one, which is very critical, awareness and education. Do people really know the value that can be put to these materials instead of leaving them in the environment? Till date, you still see people that dispose of packaging material, bottles, cans in the environment. And you wonder, why are they doing it? Sometimes some people do not know. So one of the critical things is we try to create awareness, and I know that this is also a medium to create awareness that these materials can be put to good use. The packaging material can be put to good use. So it's important for lots of people to know that. The second one is the cost of operation. So when you talk about recycling of this post-consumer packaging material, most of the operators in this sector are small and medium-scale operators. And it costs a lot of money to actually start from the value chain. So if you start from the collection, where is the material generated? Maybe in the homes, maybe in the offices or in the business premises. So when it's generated, how does it move from that location to the next location? Logistics is a high cost because we know that for you to transport large volumes of this packaging material from one location to another, it has to be compacted. So it has to be compacted using a machine. So the cost of logistics is a lot for those operators, and they are small and medium scale operators like I talked about. So where do they get the finance? Where do they get the funds to be able to fund their operations? Lastly, I want to talk about infrastructure. And infrastructure is key because even when you create the awareness and tell people, okay, you can recycle your waste or you can recycle your materials, what structures are in place? And that's why the Fbra comes into place, because we're trying to enhance the waste management operations.
The issue of climate change is one that affects every living thing on the planet, which means we must all take it very seriously. What is your organization looking forward to in the next few years, especially as we set 2030 as a deadline for the SDGs? How do you ensure before that year something significant is achieved?
Okay, so collectively, we know that the next 10 years is a decade of action. So we all have a role to play. The first step is, currently at the Fbra, we have 16 members. And the Fbra has been set up as the producer responsibility organization for the food and beverage sector. You and I know that there are not just 16 organizations in the food and beverage sector. So one of the critical things we want to do is to increase membership drive, because when more members come to the alliance, they'll be able to have more funds to be able to carry out our activities. Secondly, we're looking at a place where each and every Nigerian knows about recycling in Nigeria, knows the value that can be put on the packaging material. The government has a role to play to enhance and implement policies that can promote what we're doing. In this case, the extended producer responsibility, which affects us directly. Then lastly, the players in the value chain, the SMEs, the operators, a way that they will be scaled up for more impact, to be able to do more. Because right now, most of them are still working in silos and they're still working on a small scale. But if they can have more funding, more investment, more structure, they can do more. And then by 2030, in collaboration with our various partners and different players in the value chain, we'll be able to achieve partnership with the goals to ensure that all the other sustainable development goals are achieved.
Well, we hope organizations will take the issue of climate change seriously and do more to reduce their footprint on the environment. That's the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, connect with us and go to youtube.com/channelsweb to watch past editions of the program. I'll see you next time. I'm Anne Nwawadu.